Afternoon, everybody. Great to have another session to hear about wellness, and really excited to hear what Christy Saxton has to say about her wellness journey. So I'm going to start off, and Christy, if you could just introduce yourself to the audience and include some
Sure.
fun facts about yourself and what you would like us to know.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christy Saxton, and as you've heard, I am the Director of Health, Housing, and Homeless Services. And I want to wish everyone a joyful start of Homeless Awareness Month, actually. This is a really important month for all of us over here at H3, and I'm so feel fortunate to be able to do this podcast today on the kickoff of this month. I think, and that's something that you know, I just want to say really helps me in my own journey is being able to highlight the incredible work that the staff that I get to work with every day that we've been doing for many, many years. I've been working in homeless and housing for close to 25 years. Which for some people it might sound tiring. For me, it's really rejuvenating. And I guess that would be one of my wellness tips is choose something that makes you, kind of makes your heart sing. It can be really exhausting, and I'm not saying that the work isn't exhausting and can be really tiring at times. But if it was something that I didn't feel passionate about, I think I would have burnt out a long, long time ago because the work is very, very challenging. And I think many of our jobs are very challenging. But if it speaks to you and it makes your heart sing, I think that is one thing for me is a big takeaway that keeps me coming back, keeps me kind of rejuvenated, is being able to say, I really truly believe in this work and those that we serve. And that I feel so fortunate to do it with the people standing shoulder to shoulder that I do with here at H3.
Wonderful. Um, on a lighter note, tell us a little bit about one, a fun fact,
Mm.
and two, what's on your playlist or what are you reading right now? So let's hear a fun
Sure.
fact.
Fun fact is my ultimate, very favorite sandwich of all time is a crunchy peanut butter kosher pickle sandwich. Sounds really weird, but I'll tell you, it's delicious. A little salt, a little sweet, and very crunchy. It's delightful. That's my fun fact. For me on my playlist, I have an incredible 17-year-old daughter who's very talented and she's in musical theater. So unbeknownst to me, that was going to be part of my life. And so there's a lot of musical theater songs on my playlist because she hijacks my Spotify account. But the best is when we get to sit in a car together and belt out show tunes. It is a real joy for me to be able to do that, especially since I'm not allowed in her car that often these days. When we do get that time together, it's a lot of fun.
Well, that's really fun. So we also learned that you're a singer, as you said you belt out show
Well,
tunes.
I'll tell you, you've never heard such a great singer as when I'm by myself in my car. That's when I'm a great singer. My daughter has all the talent, and I'm happy to have her have it. You're never going to hear me sing out loud.
Well, that's very good. Any particular favorites right now that she's working on or listening to?
Yeah. Well, she's in a production of White Christmas right now, so oddly, we're listening to a lot of that, but she's trying to
Mhm.
figure out what the next show's going to be. So we're listening to she's hoping for maybe Adam's Family or maybe Rent
Okay,
or
okay,
her favorite's Anastasia. So it's all over the place.
okay,
If it's musical theater, we're listening to it.
okay. Lovely. I love it. So, can you share a little bit about your wellness journey from a cultural and intersections perspective, sort of,
Sure.
the
Yeah.
biggest lessons you've learned and how this has impacted your life?
Yeah. I grew up I always tease people that I'm real country. We we grew out in the boonies and with not a lot of money. And I really give a lot of credit to my parents that my brother and I really never knew that fact. That we, as an adult, I realize now that, when we were having pancakes for dinner at the end of the month, it was because we were low on food and mom was waiting for that next paycheck. But it was always fun for us. And she always made it a joyous occasion. And being living out like kind of truly in the country on a small farm, we didn't have all the gadgets, that keeps kids indoors. I'm also of a
Mhm.
generation that's, didn't have a lot of that anyway.
Mhm.
But we were constantly outside, roaming our property. Doing a lot of stuff with our farm animals. And that's something that has kind of was just instilled in me of just by necessity. Of that's what kept our attention to this day. I love going outdoors. Camping was something that was always our big vacation growing up, and it's something that I still love to do today. You get me, out in the woods, camping with very little resources.
Mhm.
That's where I really, really get rejuvenated.
Mhm.
And in order to, kind of keep that going, there is a lot of, hiking and access to things that quite honestly just don't cost a lot of money.
Mhm.
Yeah, having a nice pair of shoes for sure, but getting that investment and then just going outside and hiking is something that, really kind of keeps me grounded and keeps
Mhm.
me connected to how I was raised.
Mhm.
And I didn't, not having all the fancy things, going all the fancy places. I never needed that. And having that continue on in my life and living as simply as possible
Mhm.
I think is something again that was a necessity when I was younger, but keeping that alive,
Mhm.
I think has been really important for my own like mental health,
Mhm.
and just keeping kind of that peace for myself.
Mhm. So, would you say that those are some of the greatest lessons learned out of this experience or your upbringing?
Oh, for sure. And I think it was something that, I was really able to fall back on during the pandemic.
Mhm.
It was, yes, everyone was kind of sheltering in place, and many of us were still going into work every day,
Mhm.
and being out in the community with those that we were serving, of just really understanding of the humanity and supporting people, your fellow human being is to me
Mhm.
is what kind of kept me grounded of that
Mhm.
simplicity, that reminding of we don't need all the things, but what we do actually need is one another. I think
Mhm.
was something that really helped me, especially during the pandemic and continuing to come out of that.
Yeah, wonderful. I love it. We need one another.
Yeah,
That's a
that's right.
big takeaway that we've learned. It seems like we keep having to learn all over
Again
again,
and again.
again
Yep.
and again, foundational to life. So we'll go on to our next turn the corner a little bit. What are some of, and you may have already touched on this, your regular culture specific self care and community care wellness practices that are the most helpful for you in avoiding burnout or stress?
Yeah.
And I think you may have touched on this, but let's, you want to highlight it again or something a little
Yeah.
bit different?
And I don't know if it's necessarily like per se, targeted towards my culture and my culture alone, but I can say personally for me, and I know a lot of people are going to groan when you hear this. I am someone, I get up at 5 in the morning, um, and I started that practice when my daughter was very young because I found that was the only time I found time for myself, and it is my moment to have a cup of coffee. I read as much as the paper as I can, and then I work out. And that is something that I do religiously. 5 days a week. Even if it's a small, like today, I only have 20 minutes to get outside and walk the dog, then that's enough. But being able to have a moment to myself to kind of collect, get ready for the day, be able to move my body, that is something that I'm deeply rooted in. My staff, many of my staff will tell you, I'm constantly on them about like, what are you doing for yourself? Are you moving your body? Are you fueling yourself? Are you drinking your water? Those are all things that I think are really important and keep us coming back. If I'm not healthy of mind and body, then I'm no good to anyone. And so that's something that I think is very important for me, because if I can't show up for my staff, then they can't show up for those that they're serving in the community. Same with my daughter. If I can't show up for her, then she can't show up how she needs to in her life. So that's kind of that catalyst for me.
Wonderful. So what makes you laugh?
Oh boy, so much. I love listening to like different podcasts, but my daughter and I, one thing, especially when we like one of us will have a bad day, we will turn on bloopers from Saturday Night Live. Watching funny people like break and make each other laugh. I don't know what it is. It just tickles me to no end to watch funny people make other funny people laugh. So that's something that I can always turn to.
Okay, that's funny.
See, you know what I'm talking about because everyone laughs at a good blooper.
Right. So let's maybe on the flip side, let's think a little bit about life's challenges and how you have been able to handle and navigate some of life's challenges.
Sure. About 10 years ago, I became a full-time single mom. And that was a real challenge. My daughter was 7, going on 8. And that was a real difficult time. And what I found was I had to let go of I can do everything by myself, because I learned very quickly that I couldn't, and that I had an incredible community around me. And it's something that, I was forced to really lean into and on. And what I found is my daughter now has about a dozen moms that all are very prideful of her. And she has, some incredible relationships with older adult men as father figures. And I just, having that community and being open to, even if it's not friends and family that you know well, being able to continue to be open to help and support, I think is a real gift that we often don't give ourselves. There's people always want to support in their way and help in their way. And oftentimes people aren't given the opportunity, and learning that. And I think for my daughter, I'm someone who's always volunteered. And I think that has really been instilled in her. She is someone now who started a community service group at her high school of understanding when you're given, then you also need to give back. And it was a really proud moment when she came home and told me her and her best friend had started this club. And I had, not because I told her to, or not because she should, but because she knew that was, what she really wanted to do. That was a real moment of like, okay, like that, those actions and those life moments really did kind of implant in her. And, it was a lovely moment for me.
That really speaks to your role in her life as her mom and what she's seen you do,
Yeah.
and how that becomes very natural for her. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So in one word,
Oh boy.
how did you foster and build your most meaningful post-pandemic resilience and transformation in one word?
Hope.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that hope for you.
I think there were moments during the pandemic when truly, especially being in, and not only, the work of housing and homelessness, but that, because that's my world, just seeing the worst of humanity. Um, and then in the next moment, being able to witness the greatest part of humanity. And every time you saw that greatness, it was because of hope. And the worst of it was fear. And fear is real, but fear to me is the absence of hope often. And being able, and I'm not saying it's always easy, but being able to find, whether it's big or small, those little pieces of hope. And it could simply be because one stranger saw you in the supermarket and caught your eye and smiled. That's hope. And that's something that I've learned to really hold on to, because everyone is going through something at some point, sometimes big, sometimes small. And to me, holding on to hope is much easier. It's much easier to see and define and hold on to than it is fear. Holding on to fear can be really challenging and scary and maddening. And so for me, I try to choose some easier paths in life. So clinging to hope can sometimes, it's hard. I'm not saying it's always easy, but to me, it's easier than holding on to fear.
Yeah, I love it. I just heard somebody the other day quote that people who are optimistic or have hope live longer than
Yeah.
those that don't, or are
Yeah.
always negative or always fearful, if you will.
Yeah.
You live a lot longer when you have hope and
Yeah.
optimism.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Um, so, what is your favorite quote, life motto, or song that reflects your wellness journey?
I can never get the quote exactly right, but there was this quote by the very aging myself, but the very famous dancer Fred Astaire.
Okay.
When he was a boy, he was taken to a doctor because he was having a hard time in dance class, and the doctor said, "This boy has two left feet. He's never gonna do anything with dance." And he became one of the greatest dancers of his generation and is still, his name is recognized today. And to me, that's always like, I'm not saying you can do anything. I'm never going to be in the WNBA. I mean, I'm 5'1". I know my my own shortcomings. I know what I can and can't do, but I love that ability of like, no, I'm going to show you, like, I am going to persevere and I am going to work hard. And that to me is something that I don't like when people tell me, no, you can't do that. Because I'm like, oh, I'll show you. I'll show you. Again, within reason. I can't do
Right.
certain things like dunk a basketball, but I can work hard and accomplish many other things, oftentimes when people didn't think I could.
Yeah.
And that is real satisfying to me.
Okay. So, what do you think wellness will look like in the future?
I don't know. I get worried. We're so inundated by wellness culture right now, and do this, eat that, eat protein, no too much protein, or walk with a weighted vest. Don't walk with a weighted vest. It's so dizzying. But I'm seeing little glimpses, especially of younger generations, of starting to really rally against this social media complex. My daughter, who's 17, just cannot stand AI. It really concerns her. We're losing our humanity with that.
Right.
And so I think for me, I'm just as curious to see. Uh, but I have a little bit of hope in our younger generations that will maybe start bringing us a little bit more back to basics. You don't, like, again, you turn on any podcast, look at any commercial, listen to anything, and there's going to be some type of wellness influencing there. And my hope is that maybe that goes away a little bit and that we you know, just get some sun on your face, go
Yeah.
outside for a walk,
Yeah.
do something that brings you joy.
Uh-huh.
I hope that wellness encapsulates more of that, of things that bring you joy. and uses your body to do that rather than you're doing things wrong. It's not enough. You're not doing it right or you're not doing it enough culture. I hope that goes
Mm-hmm.
away a little bit and people
Mm-hmm.
find a little bit more joy in the
Mm-hmm.
simplicity of just
Mm-hmm.
being. Yeah.
That's very interesting perspective. Yeah, you see these things, these hacks and stuff like this. Oh, you got to do this every day, or if you eat
Right.
some random food, this will, cause you to live longer, brain
Right.
health, or whatever. And we just don't know. So yeah.
And then listen, sometimes eating the brownie for me is what's going to make me live to another
Right.
day. So I'm going to eat the brownie.
Right. Everybody's maybe a little leftover Halloween candy today.
Hmm.
I brought a few pieces to work, I must admit.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see. So maybe you address this, but just in case, emerging trends that you think you would like to predict in the future, or more of what you're saying in terms of uh, doing less or not being caught up in these movements or these
Hmm.
fads, if you will. But any other emerging trends you'd like to predict for the future of
Um,
wellness?
I don't want to ever be in the game of predicting. I'm terrible at it. I think as the human population continues to swell, more and more of our open lands will go away. So for me, it's not a prediction, but it is like get out and explore while you can. Get out in the woods, get out in the hills. I mean, there is some tremendous open space here in Contra Costa County to explore and in the springtime, go out and look at, the wildflowers. You just don't know how long it's going to be around to take
Yeah.
advantage of. We live
Mm-hmm.
in an extraordinary place here in the Bay Area to be able to
Mm-hmm.
experience it. I tell my daughter, some people wish their whole lives to see the Golden Gate Bridge. Let us not take that for granted. So
Right.
again, not a prediction, but just like a get out and experience it while we can,
Mm-hmm.
because it is shifting away.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, what is one takeaway from our conversation that you would like the audience to remember?
Hmm. That you can always find hope somewhere. And if
Mhm.
you can't, call me. I don't know. I find joy of like trying to give someone a pep talk. But to me, that is where it's rooted.
Okay. All right. And are there any questions that you would like us to have asked you, or anything else that you were thinking of in terms of wellness, your journey, you know, the journey
Yeah.
that you would like to comment on, or a question you've always wanted to ask people about wellness?
I don't think so. I actually really appreciate this conversation because I think it's a wellness is so personal for each person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And being able to share that, whatever that is, and hear others,
Yeah.
journeys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, maybe I'll change in 5 years and I'll be on to something else. But I really appreciate there's so many different avenues. There's so many different wellness journeys out there to be able to share them with one another, I think is
Mm-hmm.
to me is the real power of like, oh, I never thought about that. Or, oh,
Oh,
like to me, I do embroidery. I mean, it sounds like I'm, 90 years old, but I do embroidery because that helps my mental health. It brings me peace. Like doing little things like that, hearing about that from other people, I think is part of the journey as well.
right. And also, it just says that it's not one size fits all. Like you said,
Right.
it's extremely personal.
That's right.
One person's, best thing that ever happened for my, burnout or sense of wellness might be something someone else will say, "Well, that would work for me." But it's interesting to hear that it worked for
That's
you.
right. That's right.
We learn
Yep.
from each other, and there's a lot of hope in that, just hearing
Yes.
what people do. And it's like, oh, wow, that's,
Yep.
good to
Really
know.
well said. Yeah.
Mhm.
Agreed.
So I think let's see if there are any questions. I know we almost out of time.
Sonia, this is
Yes.
Arlene. We would like to thank Christy also for having us, the wellness team, do event tabling in her all staff. So that
Yes.
really shows that she really supports wellness for her staff, for
Mhm.
making us, go and participate and interact and meet her lovely staff members. Thank you so much, Christy, for
Absolutely.
doing that.
Of course, that was a really great day.
Yeah, and I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing with us that today or this month is Homeless Awareness Month.
Yep.
So, can you give us some, because this is something new for us that
Yeah.
me for myself, I have to admit I just learned it today. What would be the best avenue for us to recognize this very important month?
Sure. Thank you for asking. Well, I will say that we will be at the Board of Supervisors tomorrow, and there will be a proclamation for Homeless Awareness Month, and we will be showing our new video. We have an entire toolkit on the Contra Costa Health website, and we can for sure share that with you all. We have proclamations happening in a variety of cities throughout the month. We have an amazing youth advisory board doing some work this month. So we are out and about all over the place in November. And it won't be until December, but every year we also do a annual Memorial Day for anyone who may have passed away or lost a loved one who was experiencing an unhoused situation. And we really take that opportunity to honor those that we've lost and be able to hold them up as well. And I think that is, again, speaking about wellness, that is something that's really important for our community as well, as that we honor those that we've lost as well. But this is it's Homeless Awareness Month across the country. It's not just for us here in Contra Costa, but it is a time if you're curious, about our work and checking out the Contra Costa Health website and looking at what we're doing in our community. Our annual report was just published. It's 90 pages. And so it's not a light read, but it really is, you're able to see the work that we've done and that we continue to do. We had a, 30% decrease in unsheltered homelessness this last year, and about a 26% overall reduction in homelessness. And that is because of the work that this county is doing to really support those who are unhoused and marginally housed and trying to stabilize them. And that is something that's really incredible.
Wonderful. Let me see. I see a couple of chats, and then I have a question for you. Let me see. When is my posting? Let me see. Here's a question. Let's see. I can pull this up here. Let's see. Someone said, okay, thank you for sharing your wellness story, Christy. Thank you for the reminder to keep active. It's important for mind and body wellness. How do you keep yourself motivated to wake up early and exercise? And besides walking in the morning, do you do something different to keep active in the morning?
Yeah. I lift weights 4 days a week, and it's a mind thing. And I don't know how I convinced myself to do it, but it's interesting that when Monday through Friday, I do this and I consider it part of my work day. And it is, to me, the most fascinating thing. For example, we have Veterans Day coming up, which is a federal holiday for us where we don't come into work. It is going to take every ounce of willpower I have to get up and work out that day. I probably won't make myself get up at 5, but since I'm not coming into work that day, in my mind, it's not a work day. So I don't work out on non-work days. It's a really weird mind body connection. But I have convinced myself that working out is associated with my workday. And so on the weekends, I do other stuff that I call fun exercising, which is the hiking and paddle boarding and gardening and doing that stuff. But I have a very specific, I get up, I have 2 days of legs, 2 days of arms. I do a HIIT workout once a week. So I'm very regimented. For me, that has really worked. And I know for many people it doesn't, or they're not morning people. My partner works out every lunch hour. That is his time that he does it. I know other people, it's in the afternoons or, after work. It's whatever makes sense for you, your routine, your mindset. And even if it's 30 minutes, that's incredible. And finding something that speaks to you. I used to be a runner, and now my knees have said no more. So I had to figure out other stuff to do. Some people really enjoy cycling or swimming, whatever that thing is. I say you find it and you lean into it. And that could lead to something else. Yoga might lead to Pilates, and Pilates could lead to something else. And I think that's what I have found really helps with kind of having that routine. Again, that speaks to me. That's not for everyone. I understand.
I had a question. I was wondering, I heard you said you've been working in the homeless, unhoused arena for over 25 years.
Yeah.
What drew you? What was the driver for you? And how do you continue? So one is what led you to that, and what helps you to stay with it?
Yeah, it's I needed a job. I was in grad school in San Francisco, and I needed a job, and I got hired at a youth shelter as a support counselor, which meant that I didn't have a set schedule. So I worked random 40 hours, overnights, just insane, crazy hours. And I was going to grad school to be a school counselor. And I wasn't loving it, but I got the job. And within a week, I had changed my, not my major, I have a degree in counseling, but I had changed my concentration to rehabilitation counseling. Because within the first week of that job, I finally was like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. School counselors are great. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't for me. And working at the shelter, I decided then and there that, our society really sees housing as a privilege. And I have a fundamental problem with that. That to me, it is, shelter is a human right. And not everyone is afforded that in our society. And I had a real intrinsic problem with that. And within that first week, I was like, it set me on, unbeknownst to me, the career I was meant to do. Yeah.
And your longevity in staying with it?
Just that our society still isn't getting it, that they're still seeing housing as a privilege. And and I'm not dissuaded by that. And again, it is the people I work shoulder to shoulder with every day. Many people who have experienced, unhoused situations themselves. And so being able to do that, and I know I didn't, I swear this wasn't, intentional, but the feeling of hope that is instilled in that people continue to do this work. There's so much hope in that. And watching people work so hard to become housed. Becoming homeless is actually really, really difficult. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes years, oftentimes, to find yourself unhoused. And so it also takes years to climb out of that. And watching the resiliency of people do that with support, but to really, truly do that, there's so much hope in that. And like, how could you walk away from something like that? Being able to have a job where you get to see hope in action every single day. That, like, what a gift, what a blessing that I have to be able to do this work.
I love it. We like to see hope in action.
That's right.
I love it. Well, with that, I think we will call this an end to this discussion. Not an end to all the hope that you've inspired. Arlene, is there anything else?
No, I have posted the link. And when we post your video recording on our YouTube channel, I'll include also the homeless kit and also your CCH Wellness Homeless, website.
Wonderful. Thank you, Arlene.
Thank you so much. And we hope to see you again and your staff next year.
Let's hope so. Yes.
Yes. Thank you,
so
everyone.
much.
And let's all give our thanks to Christy Saxton, H3 Director, for sharing with us her wellness journey, as well as making us aware that November is the Homeless Awareness Month. We learned something new today. A lot.
Wonderful. I love it. Thank you to you both. Thank you.